In this video, I'll show you how you can use a softbox as a pure white background in your small home studio.
Adorama TV presents Take and Make Great Photography with Gavin Hoey.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that has everything for us photographers. This video is all about backgrounds. Now, if you're lucky, you've got a semi-permanent or even a permanent studio where you can set up any background you like and leave it there. However, if you're running a small home studio, that's possibly not the case. So what do you do for backgrounds? Well, you might do something like this. You might just grab yourself some material and hang that up. That works really well. I've got this sort of textured white there, or I've got some lovely colourful red material. These make great impromptu backgrounds, and of course you can store them away and they don't take up much room. But what if you want a pure white background? That's a bit more tricky because pure white backgrounds need to be lit. We had a look at this in the last video where I showed you how to set up a nice little studio shoot. But if your studio space is limited or you need to make a white background in a small space, there's a really great trick. All you need are two lights. So let me just quickly run you through the lights I'm using. There's going to be two, and this one over here is going to be my key light, my main light. It is the StreakLight 360. You've seen me use it in lots of videos. It's a brilliant little light. And we've just got a small softbox on the front because we're only going to be shooting head and shoulders shots. And I know that because the background for these shots is going to be this softbox right here. This whole softbox is going to become a pure white background. Now, to illuminate it, I'm using a slightly different light. Around the back there, we have a RoveLight 600. It's a bigger, more powerful flash, but it really doesn't matter about the size so much as the softbox that's on the front. Because for this to work, you want your biggest softbox because that's going to be your background. Believe it or not, in my small home studio, that is the biggest one that I own. It's not huge, but it's big enough to do a head and shoulders shot. But it's not simply a case of just putting it up. We need to meter for this and work out whether this softbox is up to the job. So let me just get my flash meter and we'll get the remote trigger for the RoveLight and we'll do a couple of meter readings. Let's start by working out what this is actually producing in the middle of the softbox. We just take a meter reading there. And I'm getting a meter reading of F16. Now, I'm not saying that's the right reading or the wrong reading. It just gives me a starting point. We'll work out what's right and wrong when we get to the shoot in just a minute. But if it's F16 in the middle, I want to make sure that it doesn't drop off too much at the edges. Otherwise, my edges will go grey in the final picture. So let's take some more meter readings. F16 in the middle. F14 about halfway across, and if I go into the corner, actually drops down to F13, so that's not too bad. That is less than a stop from the center to the edge, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that fairly small drop off in light. The less drop off, the better, but there always will be some. Now we need to bear that in mind when we do the shoot. We'll need to take that into account, but we'll also need to take into account the front of my softbox. The smoother you can make the surface of your softbox material, the easier the shoot's going to be. This is quite an old softbox and, well, I don't think there's much hope for the smooth surface, but we'll do the best we can. Okay, let's get the model in and set up the shoot. So I'm joined in the studio today by Rachel. Say hello, Rachel.
Hello.
And she's going to be my model for today. Now, the background we're going to use is the softbox. That's going to be our pure white background in the scene. But to light Rachel's face, to light the front, we need a key light. And today we're going to use the StreakLight 360 with the little glow softbox on. That's going to be our key light. But before we take any pictures, we need to know how much light these are producing and whether we're going to get a nice clean white background with no loss of detail over the shoulders and through the hair. And to do it, we take some meter readings. So let's start by measuring the key light. Rachel, could you face me? Brilliant, thank you. And I'm just going to pop this under your chin and we take a little meter reading there. So that's giving me a meter reading of F8. Now that might be exactly the aperture, that might be perfect, but in this case I know I want a little bit more depth of field, so I want to go for an F11 aperture. So using the remote control for the StreakLight, 3 clicks, well that's going to increase my light by a stop in theory. Let's just double check. Yep, sure enough, f11, spot on. So that's my key light set, f11, and that's what I'm going to dial into the camera, but we need to know about the background light. So coming around to the background light here, we know this light isn't perfectly even all the way across. We know there's fall off in the corners a little bit. So if this was perfect, we might be able to get away with f11, the same as the key light. But ideally, we want this a bit brighter, and about a stop brighter should be perfect. Let's just take a meter reading. Actually, that's great, that's f16, so that is indeed a stop brighter. So that should ensure I have a nice, even white background, but is it too bright? Well, the way to find out is to measure off the back of Rachel's head, and we do a little meter reading here, and that tells me f9. So that is less light on the back compared to f11 from the key light, and that's critical. If you have that, then you'll find all those little fine hairs are going to be recorded and there won't be any light coming over the shoulders. We should get a really good shot. Okay, so everything is set. Let's do the shoot. Okay, Rachel, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, let's go that way. So take a little step forward towards the background. That's the way. Okay, go for it. Here we go, one more. And we're done, fantastic. Well, there we are, that was a brilliant shoot. Did you enjoy that, Rachel?
Fantastic.
Yeah, the white background, Rachel's look, they worked so well together. What we need to do now, of course, though, is just get one of the pictures into Photoshop and do a quick bit of editing, and we're going to do that right now. Don't forget to check out Adorama's latest contest and your chance to win amazing prizes. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I took a lot of meter readings to get to the end result, and as a result, surely my end result picture is perfect. Why would I need Photoshop? Well, sadly, it doesn't quite work like that. You see, the back of my camera says exactly what you were thinking. Perfect. White backgrounds, perfectly white, face perfectly exposed. Trouble is, the back of the camera shows me a JPEG, and I am, of course, a RAW shooter. That means in Photoshop or Lightroom, I've got to do a little bit of work to get my whites really white. Let's have a look. So here's what came off the camera, and it really is exactly what came off the camera. As you can see, Rachel's face, great perfect exposure, as I would imagine. White background, yep, looks really white. But is it? As I move my cursor across, if you look at these RGB numbers, you'll see they're all changing. They should all say 255 if this was pure white. And we can see it even clearer if I come to this little button here, which is the highlight clipping warning. That shows me anywhere on the picture where one of the red, green or blue channels is at 255, or in this case, all of them. So there's not actually much white here. So what's going on? Well, RAW files need a bit of processing to get the very best out of them, and in this case, if you want a really white, even if you've got it right in camera, you just need to bring your whites up to around about 50, normally does the job, and that will make your whites record as white on the screen. It's worth just checking that it really is 255 all the way across. Yes, it is. That's fine. I can turn the highlight warning off. Now, you'll notice there is one other problem with this picture, and that is I've got the white background, my softbox, plus a bit extra. To be fair, what was going on, Rachel was doing a bit of the old hair flick, and I was having to keep the background as in the frame as possible and capture as much of the hair as I could. And in this shot, this is not my favourite shot, but I've got a little bit more background than I intended. So let's just sort that out. Dead easy to sort out, of course. Just going to get the crop tool and we'll crop out anything we don't really need. Now that does mean I'm going to lose the top of Rachel's head ever so slightly, but then I tend to find myself doing that anyway. I'll often crop off tops of head, that's part of my style that I like. And I may just lose one or two of the finer hairs right on the edge, but I'll do my very best to keep as many as I can. When I'm happy, press enter, and that will crop it down. And now you can see a lovely clean white background that is actually just the surface of my softbox. Now Rachel was quite specific about the processing. She wanted the pictures black and white. So let's do that now. Let's just jump over to the HSL/Grayscale tab, find the Convert to Grayscale button. That gives me a basic black and white, but for portraits, I like to take the oranges for the skin tones, and we'll bring them up like so, just to brighten up the skin tones on my mono. Go back to the basic panel, and now we can make any other changes. Let's bring down the clarity just to give a slightly more flattering look. We'll make sure that there's a real nice deep black in there by pulling the blacks back, and maybe just a little bit more contrast on the shot like so. And there you go, that is my basic edit done. My clean white background is very clean, and it's all because of a softbox. So there we are, a great final picture and a great fun shoot. Now, if you want to see more videos by myself and the other amazing presenters here on Adorama TV, you've got to click on the subscribe button. Here it comes. Ta-da! Subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy-to-use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.